In the days before good roads made it practical to ship fresh milk to large dairy processors in Green Bay, Couillardville dairy farmers had a problem. Their highly perishable product had to either be sold or consumed within a day or two. Farm families used some of the milk themselves, of course, and fed a certain amount to their livestock. A few even sold small quantities to area stores and to individual customers. But with twice daily milkings, a bigger market was needed. The solution for most dairy farmers was to sell their daily production to a local cheese factory. There it could quickly be converted into compact, long-lasting blocks of cheese that were much easier, cheaper, and safer to ship than fresh milk. An abundance of cheese factories soon popped up in southern Oconto County, including one in Brookside and another 2.5 miles north in Greenwood. They were soon joined by a third in Couillardville. The origins of the Couillardville Cheese Factory can be traced to March 31, 1917, when the Polly and Polly Cheese Company purchased a lot in downtown Couillardville along Brookside Road. There they erected a factory building from preformed concrete blocks. It featured a raised platform in front where wagons and trucks could conveniently unload their 10-gallon milk tanks. The processing area was just inside and the boiler room and coal bin in the back. Farmers delivered their fresh milk each morning, taking away empty cans to be cleaned, filled, and returned the next day. In the early years, local dairy farmers transported their milk in horse-drawn carts during good weather or sleighs when the snow was deep. Later on, pickup trucks or small cars fitted with a box in the back were common. According to family lore, one of the early cheesemakers in Couillardville was August Jensen. But the cheesemaker everyone remembered was Elmer Johnston. He and his wife Beulah raised their family in the adjoining house and ran the cheese factory from 1932 until 1945. Bill Johnston, their son, always remembered how hard his parents worked. He pointed out that cheesemaking was a 7-day-a-week job because the cows didn't take the weekends off either. His mom and dad were devoted to the business, and it was a reliable source of steady employment during the darkest days of the Depression. Elmer's brother Alan also found a way to make a living from the cheese factory. About 1932, he bought an old Model T Ford truck and started picking up milk on the farms each morning and delivering it to the factory. Later on, Norb Carey took over the milk route and ran it successfully for several years. After a heavy snowfall, he would often attach a snowplow to his milk truck in order to clear the driveways and collect the milk. Loads of Couillardville cheese were regularly delivered to retailers and distributors in all the nearby cities, Oconto, Marinette, Green Bay. It was highly regarded and regularly won awards in Wisconsin-wide competitions. One year, Elmer's cheese won second place in the state, and he proudly flew the award banner above the cheese factory until it was in tatters. The Couillardville Cheese Factory became a focal point for the community from the time it first opened. After all, with farmers bringing in their milk each day, they would frequently encounter their neighbors and spend a few minutes catching up on the latest news. As Bill Johnston noted, everybody that lived around there ended up over at the cheese factory sometime or other. So did the kids. Jim Jacquard often dropped by to see Elmer making the cheese and listen to the men talk. Marv Udick, who lived just across the road in the old parsonage on the corner, loved to come by after school for a taste of Elmer's fresh cheese curds. Jody Tage Jr. always said that Elmer made some great cheese. Cheese factory life was fondly remembered by the Johnston children, two of whom, Jack and Jane, were actually born there. Bill, the elder, said it was a very good life that taught him the satisfaction that comes from hard work. With improvements in transportation and the growth of large dairy processors, the Couillardville Cheese Factory eventually became uneconomical to operate, and it was closed in July of 1945. The last local milk truck driver, Psyche Jacquard, who had taken over the route in 1941, acquired his own truck and continued driving the daily fresh milk production down to the Fairmont Dairy Plant in Green Bay, or to another large processor in Seymour. With the cheese factory shuttered, Elmer and Beulah relocated their family to Oconto. He later became a manager at the Carnation plant in Oconto Falls, where he worked alongside his son Bill for a number of years. Elmer finished his career working as a field man for Krause's cheese factory in Morgan, testing the milk of area dairy farmers. In September 1945, Elmer's brother Alan bought the cheese factory property and moved his wife, Ruth, and son, Lee, into the house. Daughter Levon was born the following year. The abandoned factory building served as the temporary home for Henry Bay and his family for a time. A few years later, the front portion of the cheese factory was torn down, leaving the boiler room and coal bin. They were repurposed as the Johnstons' garage and shop. The house and garage still stand today as testaments to a time when the Couillardville cheese factory truly was the pride of the community.